Okay, now this quick exercise, just again to get your brain stimulated, I'm going to start by saying hello. Now all I need to ask of you is, we're going to go through as many words for hello in as many different languages as you know. So the word is hello, you guys are going to give me a word that you know for hello in another language, then we're going to write on the board, then you're going to follow suit, but you can't repeat the same word until there comes a point where one of the groups can't answer. You get what I mean? So this group first, and you can't use hello, by the way. So this group first.
So you're just saying it in another
Ciao.
language. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Ciao.
Have you guys got a name?
That's Japan.
Yeah.
Have you got one?
Anyone know
Any language.
any language? Like if the language of parent.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Bonjour. We'll take
Bonjour,
that as
there you go.
salutation.
Yeah, close enough,
technically.
yeah.
Yep. Bulla.
Yeah.
Love it. This group's cranky.
Alright, let's go. Any language.
Anyone,
you do
even
wait.
at home, you don't speak another
Pretty
language at
multicultural,
home.
guys, come on.
Konnichiwa, there you go.
Perfect.
It's
Starts
perfect
with a
for your
K.
group.
It starts with K and then close enough.
Don't worry about the spelling
Yeah.
for the purpose of this.
Yeah.
Guys.
Konnichiwa, yeah.
Hola. Perfect.
Hola.
Well done.
Anyone?
Well done.
Ni hao. Beautiful. Right there.
Yeah.
And the one above it's konnichiwa.
Yeah. Who's it?
Guys. Namaste.
Namaste, yeah. Alright.
We're going to just change that to salutation rather than hello.
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
I don't know how you're going to write this, but it's double.
Yeah. Alright.
Bravo.
Is that
Close enough.
Is that Bravo?
Serbia?
Serbian.
Serbia? Bravo. Perfect. You should know.
Yeah, you should know this guy. He's Serbian.
Are you?
Shit.
Alright guys, any other words for hello? Salutations?
Yeah, just drop D, bravo. Yeah.
Marlo, M-A-L-O.
M-A-L-O. Can you give me the origin or the
It's Samoan.
Samoan?
And is it strictly hello?
Malo.
Done.
Guys?
Nothing.
I think that's a pretty good start anyway.
It is, but
So this.
Alright, let's go. 10 seconds.
anyway.
All has been used.
Aloha.
Well done.
Alright guys.
Annyeong.
Annyeong.
It's
Hazel.
It's
I don't know how to spell it.
yeah.
Annyeong Hazel.
Yeah.
This group is cranky.
Guys, killing it.
What about like hello?
Hello can't use.
E-L-L-O.
Cyber language doesn't work.
Can we say hi?
You can say hi, we'll allow that. And then
What?
we're going to wrap this up, so...
Can we say hey?
Hey.
Oh, that's fine. We just
Alright.
wanted to demonstrate a point that obviously there's a lot of different languages, a lot of different cultures. Today's topic, we're looking at organisational learning and behaviour in a global context. So I'll start off. Just as I mentioned, we're going to be touching on OLB in a global context. Essentially, this looks at the differences between nations and cultures and the importance of cultural learning and management. In layman's terms, so in basic terms, it means every person has their own cultural background. They have established their own beliefs, morals, ethics, behaviours, which they have developed in their upbringing over a long period of time. Things like sociological imagination and ethical reasoning, if anyone did business, society and policies, all come into play when we talk about cultures within individuals, and ultimately that will stem to influence the internal culture of an organisation. But I'm going to give you a definition, and that all in your brochures. The definition of national culture is the sum total of the beliefs, rituals, rules, customs, artefacts, and institutions that characterise the population of a nation. Now, there are some countries that have several different cultures in them. So, for example, I'll give you an example, Canada. Canada is comprised of a lot of cultures, just like Australia. Within Canada, you have the Anglos, you have the Quebecois, which is the French Canadians, you have Asians, Africans, Arabs, American Indians, just to name a few. And another example, which would be more in the Eastern Middle East, would be like Iraq. Iraq, you have the Kurdish, and then you have Arab cultural groups such as the Shiites and the Sunnis. I don't know if I've pronounced them correctly, though, but yeah, that's okay. And as we mentioned before, they don't just simply appear. They kind of come to a nation over an evolutionary course, and it's influenced by things like politics, religion, language, cultural aspects of the country. But I just want to give you a personal example of a working lifestyle in another cultural, and that's my very own. So I'm Italo Australian, so Italian, and I spend a lot of time in Italy. In Australia, we live to work, whereas in Italy they work to live. So what I mean by that is, although we're quite a friendly, laid-back culture in Australia, we take our work pretty seriously. A lot of stress-related incidences come from people too caught up in their work. Even though legislation demands that we take a break after X amount of hours, it's not unusual to work through or minimise the lunch hour in order to get on top of the work. It's equally not as unusual to work overtime to get most of the pile up of work done in Australia. In Italy, we take a very different sort of approach to our work ethic. Everyone wakes up in the morning all happy to have a large breakfast, get to work at around 7 or 8 a.m. Midday, everyone goes home. Everyone goes home, has a large, monstrous, beautiful lunch, and essentially that will put everyone in like a metaphorical food coma. So they call it a siesta in Spain and Italy. So they have a big lunch where they need to process it all, they go to sleep for a few hours, and pretty much businesses and organisations shut down in the mid part of the day. If you ever go into town of a European country like that, you can't even go into any shops. After that, they wake up, all refreshed, go back to work from about 5 o'clock all the way through to about 9 p.m. Afterwards, they kick off for dinner and everything like that.
Just quickly, like when we were saying things, keep in mind how that would affect an Australian business trying to, I guess, work with a company overseas, and how the different time schedules and lives would have an effect on that chain of relationship. Because that's the activity we're going to come to. So what do you like, just in the back of your mind, that little voice, just keep the mindset down.
Okay, I'm going to kick you over to Justin.
So every organisation has its own perspectives and attitude they use to undertake their day-to-day operations. Each of these pose their own advantages and disadvantages. The first perspective an organisation may use is ethnocentrism. This is the belief that the home country of operations has the best attitude and knowledge for operations. Advantages for this perspective include a simple system of operations and tightened control. This also installs a mutual agreement related to organisational goals and objectives. However, a disadvantage of this is social politics within the organisation. This includes resentment from foreign members of staff. The second perspective is polycentric. This is the belief that managers within the host country have the most knowledge and experience of running business in their country. Advantages of this include extensive knowledge into the foreign market, and it promotes a higher morale within the organisation. A disadvantage of this includes reduced efficiency, and it's difficult to install within an organisation due to multiple implications of different traditions. The third and final perspective is geocentric. This is an approach that focuses on best practice no matter where it is originated from. Advantages of this include a direct link of organisational goals between the organisation and local objectives, as well as having the best staff with limitless knowledge regardless of origin. Disadvantages of this perspective include increased strains on managers. This is due to the expected knowledge of both local and global approaches. Not only that, but it's difficult to achieve within an organisation. So think about it like this in business. So you're looking to expand from a domestic business to an international business, but you don't know exactly which approach you're gonna do. So you decide you're gonna do an ethnocentric approach and expand your business internationally by using one of your current members of staff from your current country. So you do that, but unfortunately, foreign staff wouldn't really appreciate that, because they feel that they have more knowledge in the current field than you do, because they know their traditions, they know their history, they know how to do business in their country. While you as a foreigner coming into their country have no experience whatsoever. But that can also go to the same as polycentric. If you use one of their managers to oversee managing operations, it could possibly cause efficiency to decrease, or so the efficiency will decrease and the actual productivity will decrease as well. So I'll pass you off to Tom.
Yeah, so I'm just going to run through Hofstede's cultural dimensions theory. Like, you guys have obviously gone through the theory notes, right? So you guys know, yeah. All right, cool. So let's go through the first
If
one.
not, it's in the middle page of your brochure.
Yeah, also, yeah, that's it. So it's just a framework that goes cross-cultural communication. So there's 5 main theories or dimensions. So the first one's individualistic and collectivistic. These refer to the people either looking after their own or expecting groups to look after them. So an example is for individualistic is Australia, and collectivistic is China. The second one's high and low power distance. This refers to the acceptance or lack of power within an organisation. High power distance respects and follows authority decisions, whereas low power distance employees are not afraid to approach managers with concerns. So high power distance is Mexico, low is Australia or Sweden. The third one is high or low uncertainty avoidance. So this is how society deals with the future and how it is quite unknown. An example of high is Italy and low Canada, because Australia's in between, so it doesn't really work there. Number 4 is achievement and nurturing. This refers to the types of values that a nation holds in terms of success. So whether a society is driven by competition, which is achievement, or relationships, which is nurturing. And an example of achievement is Australia and nurturing in France. So, and the final one is long and short-term orientation. So this refers to how every society maintains links to its past while dealing with the future, the present and the future. So an example of long is China and short Australia.
You have to have a unique product, something that is different to what is already offered in these markets.
And Andres Dalvik should know. He ran IKEA for 10 years through a tech bust and a global recession.
I think a lot of Western retailers who move into other markets, especially when they move from, let's say, the US to Europe or Europe to the US, one mature market to the next, the offer isn't unique enough. So they fail. I think Western companies have a better chance of succeeding in terms of uniqueness when they move into an emerging market, because there very often the offer at hand is too low quality, or it's the very top, very expensive. If we take the example of China, we had to have more products in the low price segment than we have in the Western market. We had to develop some new products in that segment, and we had to lower the prices compared to, and in many instances we did decrease the price about 50% compared to what we had in the Western markets in order to be profitable at this new price level. We had to move a lot of the production to some new countries that we hadn't done before. I think one of the strengths of IKEA compared to some other companies is that being a private foundation, we are very long term in everything we do. So we can move in and say, we can work with our profits for the next 10 years, no problem, if we think long term this will work. We have a better, I think, ability to just stick in there, take the losses and improve the concept until it's right.
IKEA now has over 10 stores in Greater China, employs over 120,000 workers in 26 countries, and makes more than 23 billion euros a year in sales.
Yeah.
So we're looking at IKEA. IKEA started in Sweden, and now, I mean, it's all over the world kind of a thing. And what he's basically saying is when he did go to China, he realized that the market there is different to anything he had come across before. He had to alter all his innovations, all his products to suit them, not only on their financial need, but their housing needs. So things had to be smaller. They had to be, like he said, he reduced his cost 50%. So he knew that for 10 years he'd make a loss. But in that 10 years' time, he'd gain that much more of a market share on a global scale that it'd be made up for that 10 years plus more. So that this is a global company looking at how to manipulate and kind of alter his approaches to different markets. And an example of this with IKEA again is when he opened in New York. As soon as he opens, they do market research to see what products sell well, what's going good for that market, what doesn't. And they were realizing that they were selling absolutely no cups at all, but they were sold out tremendously of this vase that they had produced. And so their market researchers found out that the Americans were actually buying this vase and using them as cups. So he stopped producing the smaller cups for New York and made a bigger model of it, and it was tremendously popular. Everyone started buying the cups rather than the vase to drink from, because in America they like their drinks bigger than say over here in China where we have smaller size cups. So again, that's just managing your stock to suit kind of different cultural needs and aspects of individual markets.